Welcome to episode 263 of Real Therapy, the place where we talk about how movies make us feel. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
And today we're talking the first 3 episodes of Vince Gilligan's Apple TV show, Pluribus. This is Real Therapy, and you know what that means.
They're gonna talk about how it makes them feel. They're gonna watch all the movie reels, cause it's Dan and Don in Real Therapy. It's real.
Hey man, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. I like that it's Friday. That's always a plus.
It's always a plus when it's Friday, as they say.
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing good. For the most part, had a big last 2 weeks. A lot of cool shooting things that are going to come out next year. And
You should go check out the Guyver Geek, his Guyver Geek channel, if you want a little sneak peek, because there's some really cool stuff on there right now.
Yeah, or at least Instagram, at the Guyver Geek on Instagram. There's probably some stuff there more about the Guyver Genesis Kickstarter project that's being filmed with a lot of cool people involved. So we did that, and then what's really more exciting, and I can't talk too much about it, but this, is what kind of came out of that experience, which is this new movie we're working on. And so that's been honestly my light. This last week and a half is just I've just been thinking about it nonstop and just just kind of smoldering on it, and then and we've made some good progress so far. And I'm really excited to. There's something about, a lot of people may not have experienced this, and I'm not even sure you've experienced it. But I have. Well, here it is. Here's our first feature ever. That we wrote together. And there's something about a draft. Let's see what draft it is. Draft 2, 2023, March 15th. Yeah. And so, but it's pretty thick. But there's something about having it in your hand, and then just we wrote this. It's that's actually kind of impressive. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, there's something about this, and every time we work on a script or whatever, I'm always salivating for when I get to go print this off and then have it in my hands, and it just feels tangible and real, and it just feels we actually, whether it gets made or not, it's irrelevant at that point. It's we actually made something. Yeah. And it's I can see it, and I can flip through it, and I can be oh, that's not too bad. That's not bad writing right there or there or there. And I don't know, a little tangent there, but anyway. That's what I'm excited about. And I feel like this new one, I'll get that quicker than I have gotten other ones in the past, which is exciting.
Indeed. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And if you want to keep up to date on that, because I'm sure this project will come back up at some point in our discussions, especially if things go like we want, you should be sure to subscribe to our channels and to our podcast feeds, all of that kind of stuff. Now, we want to make sure that we're at Real Therapy Pod, P-O-D. If you just type in Real Therapy, you'll get this weird fishing channel, and I don't want you to be confused. We are not a fishing channel. So Real Therapy Pod, P-O-D, on all the places. Please give us a subscribe, because it really helps us, and we think and hope you'll like what we got to say and what we got coming.
I think I'm gonna, whenever I come down December, I'm gonna make you one of these copies for our new script, because again, I think it's different when you're holding it in your hand and you're reading it, just for reference purposes, and also just be cool for you to have.
I'd love it.
You can show it off to your son and be like, "Hey, look, your dad's a writer."
I was actually writing last night, and I was writing in Highland, and I had dark mode on.
Dude, it's the best.
And my son came over. He's like, "Are you doing some coding?" You know what I mean? I was like,
"Yeah, your dad's a coder." I know. Yeah.
Parentheses. There's words kind of spread out, not all in a paragraph form. And so I was like, that kind of does look like coding, especially because a lot of coding programs do it in that kind of dark mode thing too.
Yeah, and some of the things are sometimes depending on which setting, like dark mode or Dracula mode, it's different. Some things are different colors too.
Yes. And that looks like how a lot of coding programs do
exactly. Yeah. That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah, I was like, actually, I'm writing a movie script.
Actually, your dad's a film writer. He's a screenplay writer. Anyway, let's talk about Pluribus. Let's talk about some other screenwriting adjacent things. And so this is an interesting one, because obviously it's been on our radar for a while now, but not something that was just like, oh man, like we talk about it a lot because we didn't really have much to talk about. It was kind of like this thing where like we knew Vince Gilligan was working on something. We knew that it was potentially sci-fi. We knew that, the actress involved in it from Better Call Saul. I can't think of her name now. Is it Rhea something?
Rhea
Reese?
Seehorn.
Okay, Rhea Seehorn. Okay.
Rhea Seehorn.
Rhea
Okay.
Seehorn, perfect. And and so like it wasn't really much to go on. And even the trailers, I tried to stay away from them, but like I watched one, but they were just like one shot, no context trailers. Like they were just like to be mysterious and to get you to tune in. So, we dropped a few weeks ago now, I think a week or two ago, the first couple episodes, and I think episode 4 is out, but we're talking about exclusively the first 3 on this pod, really just kind of giving our flavor, and that's what our thoughts on it so far. So, all that being said, this is, I mean, I think Breaking Bad is the greatest TV show of all time, personally. And I think you might at least, it's probably up there with you too, if not, you
At
agree
least
with me.
top three. I honestly, it's hard for me to just put one anywhere. I just have like a
Yeah,
few
sure.
floating
Yeah,
things.
it's probably depending on what you watched last or thought about last.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of expectation on the front from Vince and from everybody being like, you got to make something good. Like you made a really popular show in the past. What are your thoughts on Pluribus so far? And are you excited for episode 4 and beyond?
I'm liking Pluribus a lot, and I am excited for what's next. I'll tell you, I think, and I love restrained marketing plan, like marketing schemes or rollouts usually, but I almost wonder if the lack of context may have just hurt this slightly, because the context then therefore becomes Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And so I think I'm coming into it with okay, I'm probably getting a show in that
Yeah.
genre, right? And that it's gonna have action, it's gonna have high stakes, it's gonna have high emotion, it's gonna be, big tempo and down, it's gonna kind of be almost a four quadrant. I mean, it's not, but like Breaking Bad kind of is like that four quadrant. It's got action, it's got drama, it's got a relationship, it's got drugs and sex, it's got wholesome, talking about interesting, intellectual ideas. And so I'm kind of coming into this expecting that. And so far it's been a pretty slow burn. It's been not that. The first episode, I think, is actually in some ways, again, a little bit of disservice of the second two, because the first episode has a tension and a pacing that kind of goes away for the second 2 episodes. Now, I think episode 2 was my least favorite so far. I just felt the least interested in just what we were learning there. And episode 3 was okay, but the very end of episode 3, I was infatuated, very intrigued by, the whole dialogue she has about the grenade and the nuclear weapon. That because I felt like
I had that question way earlier than she asked it in my head.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think that's the moment where I'm just starting to get it. Okay, what is this show going to be? What? Because that's where I'm what is her name in the show? They say it constantly.
Gosh, I don't know. I know her
Carol.
assistant's
Carol.
Yeah, Carol.
At this point, Carol doesn't even really have a clear goal yet, other than don't get assimilated. That's her goal, is don't get assimilated and cope with the ridiculous amount of trauma she just went through. That's basically, and figure out what's going on. You could say that, but it's we have not figured out what the season goal is, or what is the goal of her character for this show, right? That is what I don't know yet, and so I'm just a little muddy on what to expect, and so it's hard to get excited. I'm liking it. It's just hard to get excited because I don't know what to get excited for yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. I think it's also interesting because, kind of like Breaking Bad, you could take any of those. It's like any TV show. Let's say you take Jesse or Walter's scenes and just look at them alone. It's from their perspective, right? We're never getting an omnipresent view of that world. It's always we're with them as they're trying to accomplish some menial task. But it's even more extrapolated because now we're just kind of following one character instead of 6 or 7. You know what I'm saying? We would still have the mains in Breaking Bad, but we would have Walt and Jesse and Gus, and then even Hank doing stuff. But now we just really following Carol. So it has this pacing for sure that is more akin to what would be some of the maybe the more realistic steps someone would take following the aftermath of this. And so I can totally understand like the pacing. It feels it's unique. I think it's very interesting. But I don't think her goal is to, I mean, it is, yes, it's like a sub-level goal, don't be assimilated. I think her goal right now, at least it becomes maybe in episode 2, is try to reverse this catastrophe or whatever. Because she starts taking
gives
steps.
up on that though on episode 3, by the way, right? I mean, episode 3, she's not really trying that. She's just drinking herself. Like she's just kind of getting drunk and taking drugs and she's kind of given up on the idea that it's possible. At least it seems like it.
Yeah, I think it's just, again, this is mixed in with like how would someone be dealing with the death of their loved one plus the death of the world. And she makes the comment she killed 11 million people, all these kind of things. Yeah. I think it's, again, it's a more realistic versus a movie or TV level of pacing where they would be actively pushing, but we're kind of living with some of her decisions. I still think they're there. She's just trying to cope in the moment because, obviously, the guy who is, hasn't talked to anyone, he's going to come back into play, right?
Of course.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, I'm just explaining why it's kind of feeling this way. But I kind of want to. Here's the thing, real quick, you can talk is this show's interesting too because let's say like a Severance or a Lost. Is that one of those kind of shows, and you may think this show is like that, and it is in some ways, those kind of shows, we're asking questions all the time. And sometimes we're frustrated with our characters, whether it's characters talking to each other or characters talking to the whatever thing it is, like they're not asking the right questions. Like we're wanting to know information. And typically there's always something nefarious or there's something that stops them from getting their information. Either people don't talk to each other, which is like can be a poor writing, exercise, or it's the bad guy doesn't want to tell them for whatever reason. This is an interesting dilemma because so far it appears the quote unquote bad guys, they're willing to give up any information if pressed hard enough.
They're actually pure of heart so far, it seems. Like they have intentions that our protagonist does not want, or antagonistic to our protagonist, but they are not an antagonistic force. They are not playing the role of an antagonizer. Well, right? Like
it depends on what you just. Yeah, I mean, I think we can get in the weeds there.
At least they're trying not to be antagonistic.
Well, they're trying so far as we're going to save you from drowning because we think this is correct versus.
Well, but also we're going to give you anything you need at any point ever, and we'll give you a nuclear bomb if you ask for it. Like what I'm saying is,
it's complicated, yeah.
But they are trying to not be an antagonist. They are trying to like be Carol's friend. Like it doesn't. They have not done anything that I've seen so far where it's like they've been very honest about what their motives are. We want to assimilate you. They've not hidden that. And we think we're honest about why. We think it's the best thing for you. If you see someone drowning, wouldn't you help them or ask them? You know what I mean? Like, and so, but they're ecumenical in their efforts. They're not doing anything deceitful. They're not trying to hide anything from.
Yeah, their intent from their perspective is pure of heart. And you're right. So far, they're not seeming like they're withholding information, even though there's little cracks there where they're kind of like they don't want to necessarily tell right away. They kind of avoid kind of questions until it feels like they're always on truth serum, like movie truth serum, where it's like you ask them a question.
It feels like they're a child that hasn't learned how to lie yet.
That's what that's a good way to look at it.
And that to me is my kind of what I was saying earlier is, there's a different version, a Hollywood version of this story where Carol's a scientist and she's the only one that could have figured out how to reverse this, or that Mexican or the Hispanic guy is going to be a scientist. Like, I don't think that's where this show is going. I thought at first, I'm like, is that where we're going to get to? Is that like when she's going around meeting the other survivors? I'm like, oh, is this the team up? Is that and especially with the conversation that happens at end of episode 3. Now I'm thinking, is this a show about Carol going to have to shepherd this new gestate consciousness that is the human race, and like she now becomes the mom to literally the rest of humanity and has to teach them how to like not be vulnerable or dangerous, like that's to me as I'm like, okay, that
Teach them how to be dangerous, you mean?
or just not be
You know what I'm saying?
not to be irresponsible with the nuclear weapons, or just give one to anyone that asks for one. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm and to me that's also just in the context of how Vince Gilligan has talked about this show and how it's come about because of, it's kind of a response to all this social division that he sees in society and all these, dividing lines and me versus them. Like that was a lot of kind of the foundational ideas that came to this idea. To me, I'm like, I just don't know if this is going to be about her fixing them at all. At this point, my theory is like, that's not the point. And I think,
Yeah, that's what I want it to be about because
that's just typical action. Well, that's plot, that's action.
Yeah.
But this being, again, this is when I think about it, this is what the tone feels like. This feels like it's more of a character study and idea exploration show than a plot action show. This is, let's take concepts that we're familiar with and put them in unfamiliar things and examine them. And I think there's a danger in that because those shows I think are harder to pull off.
They're absolutely hard to pull off.
It's much harder to make those consistently interesting and fulfilling and pay off and like just generate a big audience for. If anyone can do it, it's probably Vince Gilligan. But I think that is just where some of these like, okay, I came in here kind of expecting something at least in the ballpark genre of a Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, which are plot-heavy shows. It's about what the characters do, what happens to them, the reveals, all that kind of stuff. So far, this does not feel that way. And again, I like these kinds of things. I think it's part of me just adjusting my expectations for what I'm going into with each of these episodes too.
Yeah. No, I think you could be very much right. To finish my point, I think another wrinkle here is where Lost is like withholding stuff. They've given us the mechanism to learn what seemingly everything, and so a trapping I think so far is how do you not ask certain questions because it's like having a magic 8-ball. Like you can ask it right now anything that would potentially help you, and so like we're getting.
But that's part of what Carol's a writer. She doesn't know shit about how to get out of this. Like, and that to me is part of why I don't think we're going that way. Is because like, what could Carol possibly even know to ask about that would help her?
Why can't you ask what was the process that led to this? How would you reverse the process?
They already explained that, right? They just said they
explained it in episode. They explained it in a very of him their perspective. They explained it in a very
sure. Big picture
way. But you could also ask them, well, how do you reverse it? Is it reversible? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's other things you could ask.
Didn't she do that? And they were like, we don't know. I'm pretty sure she asked those questions.
I mean, she asked, why hasn't it happened to me yet? And they said, we don't know to that. Sure. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, again, this is the game Gilligan's playing where he's choosing to ask what questions, choosing what they're going to answer. But I'm just saying like that can become problematic. And it might be problematic in the long run because, again, if you open up the door that they'll answer anything, if pressed hard enough, then, you know what I'm saying? Just, because me, I was kind of like, I kept thinking episode 2, I was like, maybe she could ask for like a nuclear bomb and like kill them all or something. What would they do then? Would they give it to her? And then like episode 3, she asked.
But also she would just be alone and die. Like that would just be a horrible, like, what would be the point of her life if she just wipes out everything else?
She's already alone. I mean, I'm talking about,
but like, that's just a tragic story. I mean, like,
I'm not saying that. I didn't say that she should do it. I'm not saying that. I didn't say all that. I said none of that. I said, could she? I said like, what happens if she does ask?
Sure.
Like what I'm saying, like, I'm saying like, and also people do things, as we know, with not a good reason behind it, or at least from our perspective anyway. So I think. My point is I asked it because I was curious about the rules that Vince built. That's why I asked the question. Right. You know what I'm saying? And he did it in episode 3. But that's my point though, is like when you open the door of any question can be answered and any question we can ask, why don't you ask all the important questions right then?
Because and that you're right, and that again tells me what the show is because that's not the point because it's not about plot.
No, I know exactly. I know, yeah.
I think you're that just is kind of like the more you analyze it, the more you realize like that is they really The show doesn't seem to care in the long run about that. That's the setup. That's not the point,
Yeah.
right? That's what it seems to be. Now, we
Which
could
does
be
make me
wrong.
nervous, which makes me nervous.
It does. I mean, again, like to a degree, it's like I didn't need another Breaking Bad. We can just go watch the last one, So
No.
I'm happy he's doing something new. Yes, the jury is going to be out until the end of this season whether he sticks the landing. I mean, the finale. We may not know how we feel about this till the finale of the
I'm
season.
assuming this is like not a one season thing. It's not a mini series, is it?
He said 4 seasons is what he imagined. And
Okay.
it's already been renewed for season 2, I believe.
Okay, cool. So I've literally like watched nothing, read nothing. And yeah, I don't
And
I
he
don't want
said also, I mean, he
spoilers.
said multiple times he wrote this for Rhea. He wrote this show for her to act in because he was such a big fan of her. Like that's been something he said over and over again. So I also think that just tells me he's going to be wanting to show her range, and she's already had she's a great actress, and she's already been able to show a ton of range. That first episode, I really liked how they layered in kind of the setup of her relationship and how she writes these books, but she changes all the context to be more appealing to her audience. Like they did that in a really nice, just layered, subtle way where they're not just telling it to you, like telling you. They just kind of showed it to you, and I'm like, I think there's so many places where I'm like, okay, where would I go? With where we are, where would I go? I mean, there's a version where Carol tries to like isolate her SO's person. Like, can you bring me someone that looks like her and only act like her in this spot? Like, I'm just like, how is Carol going to deal with this? Because it does seem like there is a turning point at the end of this episode where she realizes she has much more control and power than she thought. Right?
Yeah.
Basically.
I do know for sure that we're going to get a challenge of the fact that maybe she's wrong and a simulation is good because at least one of the survivors is going to try to kill her. And the message will be like, look, this is what you get if you don't become like you're trading like perceived happiness, from what they're telling us, like the best, like heaven basically, for death and destruction. And like you don't have to have that. So like, and we're going to get because that line was in there about we can't protect you guys from each other.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
which again becomes which is like what The Walking Dead is. Like The Walking Dead is not about the zombies.
Right.
It's about who's left and how they interact with each other and like what social commentary there is there about that. So I'm kind of wondering too, is the show going to become about that? Is she going to, I mean, I can see if it's 4 seasons, she's against them. She aligns with them. How do we coexist? And especially if there's no, kind of like Walking Dead, if there's no ending, what I'm saying? It's just about, like you said, character study, but it does, I do want, like in Walking Dead, to me, I want to see them survive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I want to see,
I have a feeling Vince is going to try to give this a happier ending than any of his previous shows. Personally, just based on what the topics we're dealing with, I think he's going to try to present a hopeful idea in the conclusion. That's just the vibes I'm getting, and I could totally see one where it's like the journey is Carol.
Does she fall in love with one of them,
or the journey is Carol having to basically reparent the entire human race, and then maybe they find out a way that like new babies are not a part of the hive mind or something like that. And so it's like about how Carol has to teach the human race to mature as a whole so that we can evolve and move into the stars or something like that. That was the whole point of whatever alien race sent this. They saw our problems. So, hey, we're going to give you like a couple decades of hive mind.
We're going to give you a wake up call sort of thing.
And then you can come out here and join us. I could totally see that. That's kind of the long-term journey, but again, I'm just pulling that out of just.
No, nothing. I mean, what's interesting is that I love alien stuff. Just like people talking about sightings or conspiracies. That's fun to me. And like one of the things that a common thread you kind of hear is, our alien, like say the nuclear bomb when it happened,
they're
like
waiting on us to achieve a certain level.
waiting to achieve a certain level. They might be
or to figure out certain social problems. Something.
well, they might be interacting more to be like, hey, are these bugs fixing to kill themselves?
Right.
Are they fixing to go interplanetary and then kill
Right.
other people? Kind of like putting a boot on the neck, but
Basically
also
doing what the Federation, like it's the Federation in Star Trek that are aware of all these earlier civilizations,
Yes.
and have these rules about when we can and cannot
Yes.
interact with them. It's literally that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what First Contact was about, right? Like we don't mess with them because they haven't got off space. Or
First
like
Contact was about the first time
the
humans-
Vulcans come,
It's
right?
about
Like,
the humans achieving warp speed, which made the Vulcans
Yes.
allowed to interact with. We don't interact with them unless they've already achieved that.
Exactly,
Which is where
yes.
the Federation kind of inherits that idea from.
right, yeah, right. So yeah, no, I mean, I can. Yeah, it feels like we already figured it out. Or you
Maybe,
figured
yeah,
it
maybe,
out.
maybe. I mean, we'll
Maybe
see.
not.
I mean,
It could, but I mean,
if you can pull that off, that sounds like a fun, cool story. I'd like to see it done well. If it's not something I've seen, but that's a very, again, more hopeful version of an alien invasion, right? It's not that aliens have come to enslave us or destroy us. It's that they're taking pity on us. They're trying to help us. And hey, we may not like their methods, but it might work. You know, I don't know. There's just that again. I didn't even get that vibe until that literally the last scene of that episode, the moment where she is discovering they'll do anything I say, kind of thing. You know, again, kind of exactly like a child treats a parent. If a parent says it, of course, yeah, okay, yeah. Why would you question it? They're the parent.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it don't really feel exactly like that to me. It feels more like there's something inherently in them where they just can't. I mean, like obviously, some type of social discomfort makes them at least have a lesser grip on the human race. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like whenever they're glitching out, I feel like it's something not working versus them having a trauma response. It's both.
I think it's that they are so codependent on how Carol feels about them. And again, this is how children are. Children know how to feel about themselves by how their parents treat them. How their parents treat them is how they learn how to treat themselves. That is just child psychology. It's how it works. And so that's kind of what, I mean, you could be right. But to me, it's like this, like, if Carol's mad at them, they feel like they should be mad at themselves. And then they start going into like a panic attack because they don't know. That's how it seems to me, at least. And it is interesting that the rest of the people who aren't as resistant, they don't care about. Like it's like it's the one person that won't give them approval is the one person they have to have it from. And again, that just sounds a little bit like a kid to me. Just kind of like that's how kids a lot of times work.
Yeah, but it's not like. But so far, we've not seen anything where they're not giving everything that other people are wanting to. You know what I'm saying?
They clearly are. We've seen them.
That's what I'm saying. Right? So it's like it don't look like Carol's special. They might be.
Sure. Carol's just the one causing them the most.
Well, Carol's the one that we're aligned with. That's why we're seeing it. You know what I'm saying?
Also,
like,
it doesn't seem like anyone else, other than maybe this Hispanic guy, is resisting them like Carol is. Everyone's like, fine, give me all the stuff. Let me hang out with my dead loved ones. You know, I'm happy. Well, they're just fine with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, people like that one guy, he just cares about getting laid, and
right, exactly. I'm
saying he doesn't. He cares about his self-interest versus the world's interest. You know, so
yeah, he's willing to turn a blind eye to the.
Which, for the record, and I'm not sure how you feel about it, I agree with Carol, where I'm like, I don't want to be a hive mind. Like, I don't want to lose my identity.
Oh, sure. No, yeah, you know? I think that
it's the worst nightmare possible. Actually,
absolutely,
it's the equivalent of. I mean. To me, it is the equivalent of like a death without a heaven, or even saying,
I mean, exactly.
Or,
that's how she
or
feels
even
about her
heaven.
partner. My partner isn't alive. You've just copied her. You know what I mean? Like it's like this, and really, it is. This is no longer the human race. It's a new type of human. I mean,
it's an entity.
Being,
Yeah,
right now.
100%.
So, yeah, it's all very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's some religions or even some versions of Christianity I've heard where it's like. Yeah, you just like lose your identity and you're just kind of like you become one with God. And that sounds terrible to me too. Sure. So I'm like, nope. Like, what's the point then? But anyway, I agree with you. It's super interesting. And it's one of those things too where it is hard to put a finger on the button without more episodes. Yes. And without seeing what's going to, maybe by end season 1, we'll have a better.
I feel like once we meet this character we haven't met yet, that's going to give us a clue, because I feel like they're going to be pretty important, at least to this season in Carol's journey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are they going to be a helper or are they going to be a roadblock? I don't know. I could see it going either, or start as a roadblock, become a helper. I mean, like, that character to me is a huge piece we just haven't gotten yet for what this season is about and what the main conflict or goal will be. And so I wonder, I'm super curious for that. And I'm also like, I have no idea who his cat is. Is it going to be someone we know? That'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's a version too, though, where one, like that guy, whoever he is, he actually does prefer the nuclear option. And then it's Carol stopping him before killing what she thinks is like salvageable. You know what I'm saying?
Or if she starts finding exactly. Or, it is like, I mean, yes, you're right. There are some people that say like, F this, I'm just going to nuke everything and kill myself. And I understand that idea. Like, I understand the pessimism or the fear, the things that motivate such an idea. But there's also a version where people would think they said that, and then they get it right to the moment, and they couldn't pull the trigger because of just what that would actually mean.
Yeah,
ending your life,
that's just going
into the unknown, right? So I feel like
it's semantics, because this is based on a character that's going to be written by somebody else for plot purposes, not what we know.
No, what I'm saying is just like, I could totally see what you're saying is right. Is that this person is I know there's one out there. So messed up. Everything just needs to go away.
Yeah, we had this game, and it was like one of my favorite memories of high school. It was called, I don't know, the history game or the world game or whatever. It was in, like, basically started the semester off August, like semester, and you had your own, like, he drew a country on the board. He just made a random map, and then we ended up drawing whatever and got a country, and then the whole year was us building up our resources, like negotiating with other countries after we reached certain thresholds. Like, I got all the way to we got to the point like 1980s where we had like the Star Wars program, and at the very end, because a guy just was what he was. People were like trading information at lunchtime, it was really fascinating experiment.
Fun, yeah.
But this one guy, and he was like, it wasn't like he was unpopular. He's a good looking guy, popular. He just nuked the entire world at the very end. And like the objective of the year was to survive, because like the teacher was kind of like, there's going to be someone who's going to
doomsday clock or whatever.
Yes, there's going to be somebody who's going to want to, end it all. And he's like, but we don't know who that is yet. But like, you want to survive and prosper as humans.
Right.
At the very end, last 4 weeks, this guy, and whenever the game ends, the game's done. We don't play it anymore the rest of the year. You know what I'm saying? So like, to get to the very end, this one guy nuked the entire world, and it killed everybody but my country, because we had the Star Wars program.
That's awesome.
But we got killed by nuclear fallout, though. So that was the problem.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is, like, there's always one,
Sure,
and having one is interesting for plot purposes.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yes.
I mean, I think if I'm just going to put my own,
Do I think it's likely
guess on
if
it,
there's only
I
10
think if
people in
he
the
is
world?
that, I
No,
think-
not in our world. But yeah.
right, and also yes, if that is his kind of role as a character, is to be the person that says, no, we should end it all. I don't think that means we are headed towards an action set piece standoff. I think it will be like Carol convincing him not to. Or again, I mean, like, I think that is a good example, but it's also, the stakes are so low. Of course, some asshole would nuke the whole world in a make-believe game at the end of high school. That doesn't take much. Anyone could do that if they have a bad day at work, versus I'm going to literally kill the world and myself and no longer exist. I will. But no this longer guy could be
later, But again, it's I could see as a potential interesting plot point of someone who is religious.
I think if that's not this season, it will come up at some.
It has to at some point.
Yeah.
And I think at least if not the world, someone's going to severely try to hurt her, whether it's this alien race, I'm gonna call it alien race, or not. So, and that's the question too. It appears that this alien race is not connected to other races among the stars, but is it?
We have no idea, right? They just literally sent a radio signal that turned out to be a chemical compound that turned we know that they are aware of us, and they knew what they were doing when they sent it. That's all we know, right?
Yep.
And so we know they're
could
more
be some.
advanced than
It
us.
could be some kid in history class fucking with a different planet.
Some kids hacking his like school computer in an alien universe.
What's this planet called? Earth.
You know, it would be funny.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck that planet. You never know. I mean, obviously, I don't think that's it, but it'd be sad if it'd be ironic or sad or some type of tragedy.
It'd be a very Rick and Morty.
If you
got this beautiful, like, heartfelt journey, and then it turns out it was all a prank, and then he's like tells the kid to go clean up his homework, and he nukes the earth or something, like,
or he gets detention for it or something like that. It's
a very Rick and Morty of like, and a very fun thing. And I think sometimes I like it when we do that, because it just is pointing to the fact that as humans we can get really caught up in our own narratives and just think we are the center of this giant epic story, and then it turns out we were just some kid's homework that he turned in late or something.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's pretty great.
It's great.
Anyway, just even real wrapping all this up, I think the moment to moment stuff, the way the shots are done, you got that Gilligan style and Vince Gilligan style in there,
and of course it's in New Mexico again, which no one knew. I don't think before this that it was set in Albuquerque, but like that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knew that either. Yeah. And so, but we've also got some kind of, I bet the budget's pretty big. Like we have jets, and we have, some
first episode, especially, there was a lot.
It felt like it was kind of highly produced, at least higher than Breaking Bad and some of the other stuff. Lots of
extras. Yeah, that supermarket scene in the last episode.
Yeah, and I like the fun quality of like the roboticism of this species, of like all the trucks just coming in. Yeah, I just kept thinking like practicality. I was like, you know what? I bet there's people out there watching this thinking like, not even thinking. They're like, oh, that was probably pretty fun to do that, or that's easy to do that. And I was like, I bet that's actually really hard. That timing to get that perfectly. I don't know.
And there's something in just like that adds just a level of entertainment value to it at almost a meta level, that it's just
very Gilligan
fun to see this kind of choreography done so well on like a movie level of just
I want to know if these guys can eat. Like there's like, we're conserving resources. Do they sleep?
I think they must eat. I think they must. Well, they turn the lights off when everyone's asleep.
We're definitely going to see them like all.
They probably eat like
standing
some,
still somewhere
paste,
in a dark.
Just, like, squeezed into their mouth. It's just like pure nutrients, no flavor.
Oh yeah. Well, also here's an interesting thing too. I was expecting a conversation where she's like drinking, and I mean, I guess they can't tell her no, but I was expecting like, oh, or no. Here's what I was thinking. When she's like, "Hey, do you drink?" and she starts drinking, I figured she wouldn't, because it would be like harming herself.
Yeah, that was an interesting turn too. I expected her at least to like resist it more, or
kind of like, we don't harm animals. It's like, well, if you consider yourself whatever, you don't harm. Like to me, alcohol is poison, right? And and so it's like, anyway, I can imagine them doing like the perfect protein paste, as you're saying, and everyone's just fucking ripped, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know it'll be interesting where they just go with all this stuff, because there's and it's this thing where they could just not address any of it. And it can still work as a show.
They don't have to.
I mean, I mean, so it's just.
But at least it shows that I'm interested. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's like a laundry list. There has to be. It'd be just people like asking the most mundane questions about like just that.
People being like, how did they, like poking plot holes?
Do they poop? Already. Stuff like that.
Right, Where do they put it? Yeah, exactly.
Where do they poop? These kind of things. Because she's also like, even like the little line of, we have only essential personnel only working at nighttime.
Right.
Yeah. What does it look like? Are they all going to get gigantically fat because they're not moving around? You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something else. Maybe there's like a stage 2 where they're just monsters. I doubt it. I'm just saying.
I feel like, again, I just wonder if we're like going down this journey of like, what if they get multiple personality disorder at some point? What if they and again, like, what if they start like hiding things from Carol, not because they are deceiving, because they're ashamed of them, or like, what, you know what I mean? Like, there's just all these different it feels like we are exploring the human psyche with this being.
Yeah.
It's part of the point of it. And so there's
a version they have the cure. I can see there's a version they have the cure at the very end. They don't tell her.
Sure.
She finds out they have it. Cure for them. I mean, like, cure is in like, sorry, it simulates her. Cure for them, and they don't tell her because they like her, because they like her. They like her autonomy.
They like having a mom, basically, by the end.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah, I'm
I
not
could
quite sure
totally
it's
see
the,
it
the
being this
mom
like,
thing.
you
I
don't
see
have to, but
similarities.
we
But
figured it out, but we're not going to make you do it. You can do it if you
exactly.
want. We think
Exactly.
you'd
There's a
like it,
choice.
but it's your choice.
Yeah, that's probably the fucking ending, dude. You're probably
This
like,
season. Yeah,
here's
probably the
here's
season
the
one
here's
ending.
the choice. Do you do it? And it fucking cuts the black or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I do want more though. I mean, I want to
Yeah.
see does Saul Goodman get away with it? I want to see does Walter White go to jail or does he die? I want to see those kind of things accomplished. But I just because for me it's rewatchability,
Sure.
you know. But maybe the journey will be so good that whatever ending we get, it's kind of we can wrap this up, but even Severance has this problem too, where I do think Severance's potential goals are more
It's
are
got a bit
easy.
more just normal surface level movie level, like type goals.
It does, but we've had a lot of conversations where
Corporation,
it's like,
escape the thing.
yeah, we've had a lot of conversations. That we could get a show where we don't have any resolution to that, and it's about this Annie getting his
It's about the
autonomy.
Indy versus the Audi kind of concept. Yeah.
Yeah, or
Well,
just
yeah.
or coexisting, and there's no real resolution to the conflicts. Just
But we've also talked about that's probably the least satisfying version of the ending of that show. At least it would
that's
be
what I'm
to me,
saying.
right?
Like I would like some type of conflict resolution here.
And that would feel, but that to me that would feel so different because it did not feel like the show started that way. That show felt like it started, yes, with all these ideas, but there's a really interesting core plot that we are following and a mystery we are trying to figure out with this character. And so like there's just more tangible movie type goals to move the story forward. This one kind of starts
been
with
the
just
opposite.
like there is what's the goal? Carol doesn't know yet. Like we're just the problem is so big and all encompassing that there's no easy just step by step path to start taking care of it. With Severance, it's like, okay, where do we start? Well, we got to contact the end. Like there's just these kind of practical steps that are kind of obvious to get to the end goal that I think just kind of creates a plot, a more centric show. And yeah,
Well,
right. If they end up not giving the resolution to that, that will feel like a bait and switch. It will not feel good. This one is like,
I think it's
I feel like
I
from
think
the
it's the
beginning,
opposite.
they're telling us, I don't know if we're going to tell you the answers to this. To me, that feels like from the very beginning, the show is telling us, don't expect just a bow on the end of an idea. This isn't about plot. To me, Severance says from the very beginning, this is about plot. How did Ellie get in this room? What are they doing here? What is this company's true purpose? Like, there's just so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, I think the way Severance starts is we are getting the world, we're understanding it, and obviously there's like the thing of like this friend trying to communicate with him, but it's not really about getting out, or it's not the goals are not really clear until the end of season one. Whereas because we don't really know what's happening, whereas this one's telling us what's happening, but we're not pushing towards the goal immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's the inverse. I think Severance is where are we at, what's happening, and we're going to discover the goal or what the goal becomes.
That's my point. Is like the point of Severance is what is the plot? What is actually happening? That's what we're trying to figure out. The point of this show is not what is actually happening. It told, like what you said, this is what's happening. That's not the point. The point of Severance is, and still, we don't know why they kidnapped his wife. We don't know why. Like the big questions of that show, and yes, what will Mark Innie versus Mark Audi do? Yeah, that is part of it. But we're still trying to figure out why all this happened in the first place. We don't even know what Lumen's deal is really yet. We still don't know why they're doing it. We have theories and we have evidence. And so I think, but to me, that show is all about figuring out why or what did they do. And this show is figuring out why does it matter? How does it change things almost? Yeah, this happened. What are the ramifications? I don't know.
No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I think at least one indicator of this show is that it's having us talk. It's having us discuss these things, and we will see, much like Severance, where I think Severance season one was great. Season two, while I think it was good and you had a lot more problems in the back half, I think we'll really know as we get closer. I think this next episode is basically the midway point, and maybe there'll be some more clarity there.
Yeah.
But before we go, I do want to highlight one last thing that may or may not be TV or movie related. Daniel?
Oh, you caught me in a weird spot. I'll go with this. So I talked about this game a couple weeks ago, last time we met, but The Outer Worlds 2 did come out. And it is a really, really, really solid game. It is Obsidian. It's their second game they've released this year, second large open world RPG they've released this year, which is kind of incredible for any studio. I can't remember the last time a single studio did that ever, maybe since like the 90s. And they just, what I would say about Obsidian is they figured out their lane, and every time they do it, they just get better at it. And so it's like, if you know what you are wanting from that and you know what they're giving to you, you are getting a full course, delicious meal that you don't get that often anymore. That feels a bit of a relic of an old style of game making. And that even if other people are trying it, they're not pulling it off like Obsidian is. And so, yeah, I mean, if you just want a story-rich, decision-heavy game that reacts to your decisions, that gives you 5 different ways to solve every problem, this is it. And it's great. And it's maybe 30 hours. It's not trying to be Skyrim. It's not trying to be The Witcher. It's just trying to be a really nice full meal of what you want out of this kind of genre and this kind of game. So The Outer Worlds 2, really great. I recommend it. I'll say this, dude, like, I really love RPGs, but a lot of times a sign to me of whether I really liked it or I liked it is if I finish it. Because there's a lot of RPGs I like, and then like the last half of it just becomes a slog, and it's just not fun anymore. And I'm just like, I don't care. Avowed I finished, which was their RPG earlier this year. I've already finished The Outer Worlds 2, and I'm probably going to play it again as like one of the fun things they do is they let you like play. You can choose like a trait called dumb, and basically it locks you out of certain skills, but it gives you dialogue options that you would otherwise never get. And what's hilarious is that you can take the dumb trait and the lucky trait and take this like your background being you're not good at anything. I can't remember what the term is, but basically you're a jack of all trades, master, not even adept at none. And it's kind of like the idea of like, no one knows how you got to this rank anyway. We're all kind of confused how you keep failing up. That's your backstory as a character. And you're also an idiot, but you're incredibly lucky. And so it's like, I've already played through the story as like kind of straight, I'm going to be the hero. Now I can play through it as like an idiot and just see how much ridiculousness things were happening because I can respond to people. And it's so funny how they'll respond. They'll be like, they'll kind of like be like, oh, you're one of them. Okay, let me just like, they'll kind of like, they have these moments where the characters are realizing how stupid you are. And they'll be like, let me talk to you like a child now. And so the game is just, it's a really rich game with all that kind of stuff. So if you like RPGs, if you like first person RPGs, exploration, all that kind of stuff, Outer Worlds 2, great game.
Yeah, I'll never play it, but I've heard good things like that about it.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 movies since our last podcast, 2 important ones, at least in my book, and one of them being The Running Man by Edgar Wright, starring Glenn Powell. I had a great time with it. I'm not sure, it's not his best film. I think that still goes to Scott Pilgrim.
I've heard that it doesn't feel much like an Edgar Wright film.
It doesn't feel as Edgar Wrighty as some of his other stuff. I totally agree with that, but it's still there. And I had a great time with it. I want to watch it again. I'm going to buy it. Like, I mean, it's just one of the top 10 I've seen of the year so far, just because I enjoyed it so much. I'm also a huge fan of the original Running Man, and so I was happy to see this more accurate take on the source material with this. The big one, though, I thought, was Predator Badlands. That's Dan Trachtenberg. He is also the guy who did Prey and Killer of Killers on Hulu. And this movie, to me, is a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
I mean, I was watching it, and I was just constantly being blown away.
And this is the one set on another planet, right?
It's set, it's the furthest out timeline-wise for Alien or Predator, period.
So it's future.
It's the future.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit of alien references in there. There's no alien spoilers.
And then a Predator. This is the first time a Predator's the actual protagonist.
First time the Predator's the protagonist, and he's got a really cool, like, everything about him. The opening, and I was like, in the first trailer, I was like, I am not for this guy. I don't like his design.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, dude, I was like, I can't wait to own that fucking hot toy, because the stuff he does in this is so cool. And like, it's not like an Oscar-worthy script or something or drama. You're dealing with an alien who talks a different language.
Movie. Yeah.
But as far as sci-fi action, it also plays on tropes from even some alien stuff and then Predator stuff, and just where it all ends. It's like, man, you give me one of these every year or two, I'm there.
Yeah.
Like I want to see what happens with this guy. I want to see what happens. The end of it, you're kind of like, I got to see what happens next. And I'm telling you, like I really wish I was there in Arkansas with you. I would force you to go watch it with me because it's so fun, dude, and it's so well made. And the CGI works probably 95% of the time. That's pretty good, all things considered. And I loved it. I was kind of blown away by it when it was all said and done. I couldn't ask for much more in a Predator film. And also, it's so different for a Predator film because it's not like, humans versus an entity they can't really completely grasp. This is truly
Predator versus Predator, or is it Predator versus other creatures? Is that
it's Predator versus it's like the pitch is you put the Predator on the deadliest planet in the universe, and how does that Predator survive?
okay?
You know,
So it's kind of like a Hunger Games, but with deadly creatures and
Yeah, and there's character things involved there. And essentially, like they're very prideful, but like the race of predators, they're like the hunts the big thing. And like if
they're
you're
all superior to everything.
yeah, if you're weak, get out of the tribe sort of thing. And it's kind of like, hey, there's like this creature on this planet. If you go get that and kill it and bring it to us, like you're worthy. And so that's the thing. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it is. And it's also like it's more adventure than you might be expecting. Also, like it's got more, not Indiana Jones.
Steak or just okay, like funness to it, like a
It's got more. There's some more funness to it than you might expect. Also, but anyway, I loved it. I mean, I would love to talk about it on the pod.
Yeah.
But it's so good, and I can't wait to watch it again. I'm sad I haven't got to watch it and Running Man again already. But anyway, that's
my
my
come
two.
to Hulu pretty quick, probably.
I don't know. I mean, they're really banking on this. Like they learned their lesson where Prey was so well received. They made no money
at all.
They made no money, and so this one is like, I think this might be the second or highest rated Predator movie of all time, Rotten Tomatoes wise. And then also, no, more than that one, I think. And then also it's like, I mean, the first one wasn't like some crown jewel when it came out. It became a cult classic quickly. But anyway, I think this one it's going to make the most money ever in the Predator franchise, at least, considering today's money. Anyway, I'm excited. I want you to watch it so we can talk about it. I think you'll like it. You like sci-fi, you like monsters. I think you'll like it.
Yep, I would love to watch it very soon.
How can our listeners write into us or find us?
Yeah, listeners, you can go to any of our channels. Remember, that's Real Therapy Pod. Real Therapy Pod, like the band. And you can find our channels, find our episodes, make sure you don't miss next week's, or you can go back and check the ones we've done previously. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on all the RSS feeds. And please give us a like, please give us a subscribe. As you know, the algorithm that is our master will not give us food or attention unless you do that. So please feed us. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, we like to eat. My name is Donovan Thompson.
I'm Daniel Wingfield.
And we'll see you at your next session.
Real Therapy is brought to you by 241 Studios and viewers like you. Thanks for stopping by. Remember to tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. for a new session with Daniel and Donovan. And remember,
they're gonna talk about how it makes them feel. They're gonna watch all